The Grow My Cleaning Company podcast helps owners of cleaning companies just like you to grow your company and yourself so you can make more money and finally get the time and money freedom that probably got you into this business. Discover how to automate and create systems that allow you to grow like crazy without losing control. If you dig the show and want to show some love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It really helps. Enjoy the show. Hey everybody, Mike Campion here with Maria Ruelas. I told her I could either roll the R for 9.5 seconds or not at all. So I took a big swing. And for those of you that are not watching, I'll give you a little tease. She's probably doesn't look like what you might think she looks like. Maybe the opposite of what you might expect. So you'll have to tune in to the YouTube channel if you're on podcast. Like, what does this lady look like? And she's got blowing hair like a model, like she's got the wind. I mean, come on, you have to at least, and a halo light over her. So all of you audio only folks are missing out. I don't know what else to tell you. All right. Maria started iClean Cleaning Services. It's a bit of a mouthful with the clean twice. April 2019 in Mount Vernon, Texas. She does both residential and commercial. Maria, welcome to the show. Feel free to say hello and tell Cleaning Nation whatever they need to know about you.
Well, thank you very much. I'm excited to be on here. I watch you all the time. I get most of the things that I do in my business come straight directly from hearing your podcasts. And I think that's the most important thing is gather as much information as possible from every source you can. Look at the experts. And that's what I do with you.
I love it. And I will, the only thing only comment I'll make before we go on to your question is I love the gathering of the information. I'm not saying you do this, Maria, but there's people out there that do. Really important that we implement. I remember this from a Bible study like 20 years ago, where someone was talking about the definition of maturity spiritually, but it's exactly the same in business is not how much you know. So a lot of us, and I was a young, dumb college kid at the time, so this made a lot of sense. It's the percentage of what you know that you actually do. So the risk of that is as we get older, we generally gain more information, just experiencing the world over and over, but we get stuck because we don't do anything different, right? So it's kind of that arrested development. If you're like, so I love obviously being a podcaster and coaching, like obviously have coaches and people are doing and learn. That's all great. But if you use learning as an excuse not to do, holy crap, that'll kick you in the soft bit. So really, I'd much rather you listen to less, even me, right? Yeah. And do more than like, that sounds hard. I'm going to listen to more crap because it feels good to listen and learn, right? But
Great
actually
point.
do, yeah.
The action part is most definitely key. Yes.
Yeah. So you obviously want to take the right action, but no action is always the wrong action. So, all right. That little sermon is over. We'll talk about what Maria wants to talk. I just couldn't help myself. So Maria's trying to say nice things about my show. And I'm like, you're wrong, Maria, cut it out. Don't listen to me. I'm feeling disagreeable today. So sorry. My apologies. Awesome. So what's going on in your world? How can I help you today, young lady?
Well, I live in a little small town and started this cleaning business sort of out of I needed a job. There's not a lot of jobs out here. If you're a truck driver or a nurse, you're set up. But anything else, you can't support a family on the income. So we have a large community that's lake homes. People from Dallas, it's about 2 hours away. They come out here and they have their lake homes, kind of a vacation type of deal. And we have a huge community for that. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to gear my business towards high-end clients that come in from Dallas, where we're doing your regular general cleaning, but we're also doing some detailed things. We're doing beds in a designer type way. We're making sure that we're, polishing this and that. And just, there's a lot of extra little touches. These are things that come natural to me. And I'm not really sure why that is. Maybe I'm an artist at heart, so I have an artistic eye, but I have a hard time teaching that type of service to my workers. Some of them get it. Every now and then I get it, one or two that, it just comes natural to them as well. But I found it to be really difficult. And I've been looking for some kind of system or way that works best, I guess, other than just having them follow me, for days and days doing the work. Because I can't be there all the time for all of these houses. So that's basically what I'm trying to figure out right now. Beautiful. I want that to be our niche, so.
So as with most good questions, there are 2 or 3 or 4 kind of beliefs and things that all tie into it. So we'll probably have to attack to really answer your question effectively. We're going to have to talk about 3 or 4 things. You okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I promise at the end, I'll go, did I get anything else? So if you're like, man, when is he going to get to answer my question? I promise I am answering your question. And by the end, I'll give you the answer that you want. Like, oh, just how to do this. But we got to lay a foundation before that even makes sense. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Okay. So one of the biggest mistakes I see folks doing is not understanding their niche or their client or their client's needs. So many times we put what we want into what they want, which is fine if we are them. So because I've owned a cleaning company and I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years, a lot of the things that you guys, that a lot of the pains I have, you guys have. So I can go, oh, I can empathize. And I'm not just like, oh, I read a bunch of books, but I've never been poor or made a payroll or like anything like that. I'm like, I know that. But being at a different point in my career, there's other things that stress me out or I worry about that you guys just don't care about. And if I start teaching or giving you that stuff, it's just going to kind of go on deaf ears. So for us, most of the time when we're starting, especially for like high-end clients that have a second home that might be $1 million home and our first home is only $500,000 or whatever the case may look like, we're just in a different place than they are. So they think and want things differently than we want. So that doesn't mean there can't be some overlap. Some things all humans want: to feel safe and loved and cared about and important. That's all kind of universal. But if we grow up as, I shouldn't say grow up, if we're just the temperament of above and beyond and polishing this and making everything feel special, that's what's special about me. And that's what people are going to like. Without ever verifying that being the case, we can run into trouble. So a perfect example is we've always had cleaners, or not always, but for many years I've had cleaners. It's so funny. I always try and find people that aren't in our community just because I think it'd be weird. And it's so funny. We live in fairly nice houses and they'll see like Grow My Cleaning Company as a background and they'll be vacuuming around it. Never ask me any questions about anything. I'm always befuddled. It's like, if I went into like a multi-million-dollar coaching house and it said like how to be a better coach, I would have questions for that dude, but that's just me. No offense, cleaning company folks, if you're listening, I love you guys. But they would always do stuff like they'd tear apart our whole couch and vacuum everything. And like, they would have like 4 or 5 people and they'd stay, and our house isn't that big. They'd stay like 3 or 4 hours and they would always go way above and beyond. And if they ever asked me, I'd tell them, I don't really care. Like, it's fine. I love it. I appreciate that you guys do that. You're amazing. But their above and beyond was, I don't really care. And I almost want to pull them aside and go, you could do a lot less and charge me the same. I'd be fine. Right. The things I was more interested in is they're always so sweet. The people that came cared about me, and I felt safe leaving my house with my wife there, my dogs. And one time the dogs my wife had taken the dogs to the vet before they got there. I'm driving home. They're literally in the neighborhood in a panic looking for our dogs, thinking they let them out. They hadn't even let them out. It was our own fault for not telling them. Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I'll pay anything for, right? Like, these are loyal, good human beings that I would have to my house for dinner. The crap, everything they tore apart to do made them feel better because they were cleaning people like, oh, this is what the guy wants. But they're thinking poor people, what they would want. That wasn't what I wanted. So I'm not saying your people do or don't want that. I'm saying if you haven't asked and verified, and again, you don't ask, hey, would you like it if I did this for no extra charge? Well, sure. Right. If they ask, hey, do you like it when we tear apart your couch and do everything to a little degree? And if I wasn't a business coach trying to help them, I go, yeah, sure, I like that. So they go, see, that's what he wants. But a better question would be, what could we do extra that we could charge more for? And what are we doing that you don't really care? That's low value, like an open-ended question that I can answer. So first and foremost, I would verify, get out of your own head. I had the same problem when I had a construction company. We'd hire salespeople. Our average project was $100,000. We do $500,000 and $1 million projects. So they'd have to get $200,000 and $300,000 checks from the clients, but they might only make $100,000 a year. So to them, a $300,000 check was like, oh my God. So they'd freak out, kind of ask for this money. But to the client, it's a $20 million project that our little $100,000 draw to mean anything to them. So do we get the idea that if we're kind of putting our crap on our clients, but it's not really our clients, we're going to be into a ton of trouble? Are you cool with that so far?
Oh yeah. And I agree 100%. That's typically what I do is I have a meeting first with them and we walk around and I ask them straight out, what is their pain? What is it that is that you're really going to pay attention to? What are you having a problem with your current people that are cleaning? And we go through everything. I probably ask 1,000 questions and I learned that from you. But yes, so we absolutely do that.
Cool.
I didn't used to, but we do now. So
that's it. Excellent. And I don't know if I've been as clear on this as I should have, but as you're saying, I'm like, man, I need to do a better job articulating this. So that's when we're starting our business. we do that and kind of then decide the type of folks that we want to serve. So it starts with understanding our perfect. So first we kind of pick a niche that we think we'd like to serve. Then we ask them, many of them only in the niche, right? Because if we ask someone's not a perfect prospect, a bunch of clients, if I asked you what you wanted in cleaning, you'd give me a very different answer than what people that own $1 million second home would give. So I get confused because I'm like, oh, people want all sorts of things, but they really don't. This sort of people want this and this sort of people want that. So I only ask my perfect prospect those questions. And then the last step is I reverse engineer it. And I say, this is what we give to everybody. And that will only attract my perfect prospect. So I'm not going to go person by person by person. Like, well, what, like our coaching system, there's a lot of folks that we'll do a call with and try and help them get some clarity. And we just don't think they're a right fit or they're ready or whatever. We just won't invite them to the program, not to be spiteful or anything. We just don't think they're the right person at the right time. And we'll try and encourage them to go somewhere else. What we don't do is change our program so if I'm talking to Maria and I think she's great, but she wants me to fly out and hold her hand and pat her head and do sales calls with her. God bless her. And maybe there's someone that'll do that for her. I'm just not the guy. And that even if I could, that's not going to serve my goal and my whole company. So I would, as opposed to go, oh, well, if that's what you want, Maria, let me do that. Even if that was her pain, I would go, I've talked to enough Marias. I know what your pain is and I know how to solve it consistently and effectively. So if you want to get onto my party, this is what the party looks like, but we're not going to switch the party for you. You're going to come onto my party. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And again, that only helps with knowing I'm very clear on who our perfect prospect is, right? If Maria's like, I've talked to a bunch of coaches and they all suck and they're all charlatans and they didn't, blah, 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 blah. And I'm starting to get a blaming the world, not taking any responsibility. And Maria's not that way at all. But immediately I'm not going to go, well, let me try and help you. I'll fix it. I'll be like, hey, lady, sounds like you got an issue with owning your own crap. Right? I'm not going to try and change my thing for her. So, and I've done that having talked to hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of owners of cleaning companies. So all that to say, make sure you get clear on who your client is, what they as a group want, and then you offer that. And obviously there can be small changes, but generally like this is the product, right? If you go to Apple, you can get that MacBook Air or the MacBook Air Plus, but you can't be like, can I have this and that? They're like, no, we don't do that. And they've done pretty well. Okay. So that's the first thing, is getting clear on what client you want to serve, what pain they have, and then kind of customizing your service to that group of people, but not to every single individual within that group. And a lot of times they won't know what they need. So if you wanted my coaching, you might go, oh my gosh, that'd be awesome. Like if you could fly out and hold my hand, blah, 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 blah. Say I had all the time in the world and I was interested in doing that. I still wouldn't do it because it wouldn't help Maria. We have a system and a process that works. And I'm like, if you go through this system, I know it'll work. But if I go out and fly out, what happens when I leave, right? Everything falls apart. I haven't really done what she wanted. So even aside from my own time, just knowing it won't work for her. So you're okay to do that with people and go, if they're like, oh, I want you to do this and be on call and me treat you poorly and blah, 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 blah. You're like, I'm not going to do that. Not only because it's not going to work for me. At the end of the day, you're always going to be miserable. So I'll let you go be miserable somewhere else and I'm going to involve other people. Okay. Yeah. So step one, understand your client and only do stuff that really is going to add value, not stuff that you feel that they need. Step two, and this is a big one, this is more emotional than tactical, is really understand. We've got to get off of, I'm an artistic person. I do this. I'm the secret sauce. Because then if Ray Kroc was like, I'm the magic guy that makes burgers, he couldn't have sold 10 billion of them or whatever obscene amount of hamburgers they've sold. So we've got to get into, I'm the person that can create a system to get a result in people's lives. And then I teach people the system. So if the system is Maria standing in the middle of a house, eyeballing everything and mother henning it, making sure everything's good, that's fine for the 2 to 4 people you could serve that day, but that's it. There is no scale, right? If Ray Kroc's got to be in the kitchen making burgers, that's great for the 28 and a half people he could serve burgers to that day. But God forbid he stops serving burgers, he's out of business. So I would shift my thought from, I want to understand not what the client wants polished or moved or designed or done or changed, because that you could do that till the end of time, right? You talk to 20 different people, you get 20 different things. To what's a scalable, repeatable, dependable system to get the result that people want. And I'm guessing the result isn't a clean house. The result is my family and I'm guessing if they have a second home that's expensive, whoever's paying for that home probably worked pretty hard, and time is a commodity for that human. So he's like, I know what it takes to get my wife and my kids and everybody down here, and I'm off of work and my wife's yelling at me because I'm on my phone, and this is valuable time for me. And we walk in and things aren't right and I have to deal with that. It's more work for me and I freaking hate it. But when I walk in and I'm like, Every time I come in, it feels a certain way. It smells a certain way. I get time with my family. I can't get back in Dallas. That they'll pay anything for, right? And as soon as you start translating that into the pillows have to be this, and the brass needs to be polished like that, and the wood needs to be handled like that, he didn't give two crap or she didn't give two craps about that. They just want to know how they feel when they get in. That can be systematized a lot better than like McDonald's. Crappy burger, right? But holy crap, it smells a certain way. No offense, McDonald's. It smells a certain way. And many of us, even if you're old like me, your parents took you to McDonald's. So you feel a certain way when you walk in. And even with the crappy burger, it's not the burger, it's how you feel. Or like, oh, when I was in high school, we go on road trips and we'd all stop at McDonald's. And I remember that. And I want to feel that feeling. It's not like, well, how many pickles are on the burger? You know, what's the optimal amount? It doesn't matter. It's the feeling. So first, understand our client, what they want, not what we want. Second, kind of create a system to do that. And third, understand that that system has a lot less to do with polishing and buffing and arranging pillows and doing laundry than it does. How can you make them feel special and loved when they get there? Stupid stuff like a little gift, right? Like a little welcome to your perfect vacation, or a little photo album saying, hey, we know you're going to make memories, and a little Polaroid or something. Feel free to use this. Just stupid. I shouldn't say stupid stuff, but things like that that have nothing to do with cleaning that people go, holy crap, I feel loved. And guess what? We talk, you talk, rich people, poor people, we all talk with our own communities. Yeah. So you're going to go, oh, my cleaner's great. They show up on time every time. I'm like, did they put a bottle of champagne with chocolates and strawberries? My wife and I had the most romantic night ever. And then there's stories like that where you're like, exactly what you did. Wow. Yeah. If you're my friend and you own the house next door, you'd be like, can I get that lady's number? I want a romantic night with my bride. That sounds amazing.
Great idea. Yeah.
So you see how, for any of you guys listening, and Maria, the goal isn't write down chocolate strawberries, photo album, welcome basket. The write down, think how I can make the experience what they want it to be. Because once you come from that frame, all these ideas of strawberries and fun stuff, you can have them, right? Maria's not like, oh, Mike's a genius. I could never think of that. As soon as we put the frame properly of make sure they have a good experience, she's like, obviously those are great ideas, and I can come up with an infinite amount of great ideas. Yeah. You see how that's so much better. And then you write down the system, right? So then is when we're like, okay, here's where we get the strawberries, and here's what we do. And if they're married, they get this. And if they have kids, we do that. And, you know, maybe if they've got a pool, there's a little pool game that we play, just stupid, or that we buy, just, I don't want to say stupid stuff, but seemingly insignificant stuff that makes them go, wow, that was
always that stuff. It's always the smallest and most insignificant thing that does make a difference, for sure.
We think it's 20% off. We'll do your dishes, you know, free, whatever. And fine. But homemade cookies going, while we were cleaning, we knew we needed to be here for an hour because we had to put the lawn, whatever. And we just thought you and the kids would like fresh baked cookies when you got here. Have a great weekend. The chance of them firing you anytime soon, unless you like kick a dog, is virtually zero, right? Like it's impossible for someone to bake you cookies. You're like, yeah, get out, right? Like it's crazy. So
yeah.
Okay. Hopefully you're getting the paradigm shift from how do I write a system, but you do this and you clean in that order, to, and again, the cool thing with your people is if you're like, here's our goal, same thing, our team, I don't tell them, how can we make them richer? How can we do better training? Should we use this kind of video or that kind of video? Our whole team knows they want to make more money. They want to have more freedom. They want to have more impact. What can we do to enable our clients to do that? We're always looking at the end goal. And then obviously that means we might do podcasts or Facebook Lives or have a Facebook group or do training. Like we do all that stuff, but we always start with what is it they want? And then we try and work backwards. So same thing with you. And we're really clear on our perfect client and what they want. So there are people out there that have cleaning companies that want a bunch of crazy crap that are not our perfect client. It is okay. Not interested in them at all. But the people that are our perfect client, we know exactly what they want. And I believe, are better in the world than anybody at getting it to them and making them feel really good about it. So you see where you start with the goal is we want the cleanest house. So I walk in and I can look at the details and go, the baseboard's clean. And that might be what Maria would need in her house if she walked in. But we're not selling to Maria. Your clients want to spend a memorable time with their family and not have to worry about anything. You provide that, they'll pay anything. If they'll spend $1 million for a house, they'll spend $1,000 a month to make sure every time they experience that house is phenomenal. Yeah,
that's a great point.
Cool. All right. Sorry, I got a little ranty, but you got me fired up. It's such a good question.
That's okay. This is what I want to know, you know?
All right. Eni, before we sign off, questions, comments, root remarks?
No, I mean, that really does give me some insight. It's kind of where I was leaning anyways, but I've toyed with that idea for probably, I guess, the past 2 weeks. I started leaving little on a first clean, leaving a little card that, like a thank you card or something like that. But I had toyed with the ideas of little candles and votives and things like that. There's a cute little store up here. So, it just kind of confirms what I was thinking, that I'd like to probably push forward with that. But most definitely making sure my client and I are on the same page, and I know what they want and what their needs are, and then tailor our, not really tailor our service, but then I know what's important in their house and what they feel. So you answered my questions. You just added to what I was looking for. That's perfect.
Cool. And your summary, Maria, is perfect. You're right on. You're there. I'm like, yes, 1,000 times yes. You're right there. The one last thing I want to add, and then we'll call it a day for everybody, including Maria, is make sure you've got the right client. So poor people, no offense, poor people out there, typically are into what's the cheapest I can get, or even rich people that are misers that you don't want in your life anyway.
Some of them,
yeah, which is fine. God bless them. That's okay. They're just not. That's not the kind of party I'm looking for. So make sure you choose the right client, because if you do all that extra stuff, and that is a premium thing, right? Like I didn't go, instead of $200 a clean, it could be $250. I said it could be $1,000, right? When you're creating experiences for somebody, they'll pay anything. The right people will pay anything. Wrong people are going to bitch no matter what you do. So you might as well not do it for them. So all this presupposes you've got the right clients. If you've got cheap people, mean people, angry people, people that believe the only way they can win is if you lose, none of this is going to work. But when you get the right client, again, if that was us and someone did that for us, I would be like, oh my God, I feel so loved. I would tip extra. I would never fire you. I would, obviously you'd have to do like reasonable stuff outside of that, like have insurance, as long as you're a good company. I would refer you to all my friends. And when people are like, what's a good way to decrease turnover? How do I increase referrals? How can I raise my prices? It's like, raise the value that you bring them and it'll magically happen, right? It's like pulling teeth. If I'm like, she's kind of on the bubble and then kind of, it's always a pain in the butt. Maybe you're doing all this cleaning and dusting and perfecting that I never noticed. But the way that you bill me is inconvenient. You're like, oh, send me a check. I'm like, I don't have time for that crap. Or you call me 9 times about questions and I'm like, ugh. So you might be doing what you think is a great thing. I might be frustrated as heck. And then if you want to raise prices or something like that, I'm like, forget it. We're done. But if you make me feel special, and when I say me, I mean every human that you deal with ever, will generally be like, we'll pay whatever we can afford. So, all right, guys, gals, if that's scratching where you're itch, you're like, hey, I want more of Grow My Cleaning Company, and I need more of this kind of thought process, personality, where we're at, go to growmycleaningcompany.com. There's over 700 podcasts. We've got a Facebook group with like 15,000 owners. The best and first place I would start is our free masterclass. It's on demand. It's the best 40 minutes I've got packed in. The problem with the website is there's a lot of stuff and you can get a little overwhelmed. Start with the 40-minute masterclass. It's free. It's on demand. And it's kind of like great. Once you get that down, then you can kind of start wandering the earth. Check it out. I will see you there. Well, here we are, the end of the podcast, and you made it. Great job. I've got a little bonus for you for sticking through with me. But like I mentioned before, if you got value out of this podcast and you want to show a little love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever the heck you're listening to this thing. Share with a friend, share the love. And as a special thank you for those of you that stuck with me to the end, how about I give you my personal phone number so we can text? It's a great way for me to get to know you, your business, your goals personally. So shoot me a text now, 602-932-6431. That's 602-932-6431. I am the only one who responds to these texts, and I will personally respond to everyone I possibly can as long as this number is manned. Don't know how long we're going to keep this at the end of the podcast, so grab it now, 602-932-6431. Give me a text, say hey, can't wait to meet you.